Welcome to episode 14 of the Daily List Report. What I was showing you there is that we actually have a YouTube channel live now. So we are posting our replays of the Daily List Report right here on the YouTube page. We've got our previous episodes. We're actually also starting to publish clips. So we're taking the best segments of these shows and we're putting them up on YouTube. So take a look at that, subscribe to the channel, and don't miss any of the information. Okay, fantastic. So, question, did you watch yesterday? Because if you didn't watch yesterday, what you missed is we announced ListReports live. And we've had now, probably by the end of today, almost 1,000 agents start to use their free conference room. So it's like a free Zoom link, but we're building this product specifically for real estate agents. And so we're going to integrate lots of really cool stuff into this free live chat room, but it's available to you today. You just log into your account, click on the ListReports Live tab, and you can start conferencing with people for free today. We have upcoming our digital open house product, so you can get in line for that. Watch yesterday's episode. It's super easy to use, and check that out. Okay, fantastic. So today, super excited because we have Mark Choey on. And to set this up before we go into our headlines, Mark is a longtime friend and partner of ListReports. He was one of the founders of Climb Real Estate in San Francisco, an amazing brokerage, super successful. He's going to talk about why they were so successful and how they built that during the Great Recession. And then he's going to give some of his great tips, tell us what he's up to today. So that's tremendous. So before we go into that, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the headlines. So lots of news these days. The first one is that the jobless claim report came out this morning, and there were an additional 5.25 million jobless claims for unemployment. And so to put that in perspective again, it's actually a slight downtick from last week, which was 6.2 million. But in total now we've lost 21 million jobs as a result of all of the shutdowns and what's happening with coronavirus. So we're at 21 million people who've lost their jobs. It's 5.25 million this week. That compares to 6.2 million last week, 6.8 million the week before, and 3.3 million the week before that. So we peaked, we're on a slight downtick. We should expect to see more of these. It's slightly slowing, but we are at a record high of unemployment, unfortunately. Yesterday, as we covered, in case you missed it, Open Door has laid off a third of their staff. And so they are hunkering down like a lot of companies are to sort of weather this storm. And so about 600 people, this is one of the largest announcements that we've seen, have lost their job at Open Door. So our hearts go out to everybody who's lost their job. They're going to give them some benefits and try to sort of weather this storm. Third thing is that this is important. We've talked now for several weeks about the Payment Protection Program aspect of the CARES Act and the money that's available to businesses. As of this morning at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, the Small Business Association basically has said, they actually posted a message that says the SBA is currently unable to accept new applications for the Paycheck Protection Program based on available appropriations funding. So what that basically means is that they're out of money. We talked about a couple days ago the fact that Congress is looking to add an extra $250 billion into that program. If you ask me, I think that's very likely to happen. I think it has to happen. Unfortunately, it hasn't happened yet. And so it's tied up in a little bit of debate and discussion as to what else gets funded as a result of that. So with this officially out of money, and they're not taking any more applications right now. They're not taking applications for new lenders. This is significant. Now, if you actually look at the numbers, though, this gets, I guess, more interesting. So they basically deployed $350 billion in 2 weeks. We know that the people that were hardest hit were restaurants, retail, and all of that. But if you look at the data, about 14% of the money, 34 billion of the 250 billion, about 14% of the money has actually gone to construction. About 12% of it has gone to manufacturers. So it looks like less than 10% of the money has actually gone to what are classified as accommodation and food services. They were actually ranked 5th on that list. And so if you look at unemployment claims, the vast majority of that has come from food and other hospitality businesses that have been devastated by this crisis. But they were not the first people to get this. The other thing that is interesting is that this money has not flowed sort of proportionately to where the economic damage was. So New York companies, for example, New York was heavily hit by this, has secured less than half as many loans as Texas companies, as an example. So I think what we're waiting for right now is this extra $250 billion to be added to this program. There's lots of people in line. We are one of those companies to get some of this funding to make sure that we can all weather the storm. Now, next is that Fannie Mae actually published a report and their predictions for 2020. So they're predicting that home sales are actually going to decline by 15% in 2020. So they're predicting 4.54 million units of pre-existing homes as opposed to 5.34 million in 2019. Now, what's interesting about this is that they're actually not projecting prices to fall. So they're projecting nominal increases in median prices. So for existing homes, they're looking at that going to $275,000 in 2020 as a median price, up from $272,000 last year. So a very nominal increase, but an increase nonetheless. And for new home construction, and we saw yesterday that confidence from builders is at historic lows, right? We had the biggest drop in confidence of builders than we've ever seen. And it's in sort of a negative territory. But nonetheless, Fannie Mae is predicting that the median price for a new home is actually expected to increase to $326,000 from $321,000 last year. So those are the big headlines of the day. For those of you who haven't yet filed for the PPP protection, we'll keep an eye on this. We'll let you know when we hear that applications are open again. For those of you who have been funded, a friend of mine just told me today that his loan got approved and ready for funding, and that's exciting. For those of you who are still waiting in line, let us know what your experience is in. This has been a really challenging process, and we'll keep you posted when this is going to open up again. Okay, fantastic. So what we're going to do now is we're going to bring on our guest. So I'm really excited to have Mark on. I've known Mark now for, 5 years, since the beginning of this company. Mark is, I always forget this, but he's a super technical guy. This guy's got an undergrad in electrical engineering, a master's degree in electrical engineering, and he's one of the founders of Climb Real Estate. Now, Climb Real Estate was started during the Great Recession in San Francisco. He's going to talk about how he did this, because it's such great lessons, right, from this. And built that up into an amazing, amazing business. They were acquired by Realogy, and now he's working on some new really cool stuff. So I'm actually going to bring Mark on right now. So give me 1 second here. Hey, Mark, why don't you say hi to everybody? Oh, Mark, you're on mute too. See, I'm not the only one. It's okay, Mark. This is a live show, so this stuff happens.
Do you hear me?
Yes, we're great. All right, Mark. Thank you so much. All right, Mark. Well, welcome to the show. Why don't you say hi to the agentpreneurs of ListReports?
Hey, agents. How's it going?
Fantastic. So, Mark, why don't we kind of start at the beginning, right? So you were the number 2 condo salesperson in San Francisco for like 4 or 5 years. So you're actually a tremendously successful agent in your own right. But Tell our agents the story that you and I discussed, right? When you started Climb, like, talk about that waterfall of how you did that, because it's just an amazing story that all of us can learn from.
Okay, great. Yeah, thanks for having me on the show. I'm very excited to be speaking to all of you and sharing my lessons. It didn't start off being number 2 as a condo agent in San Francisco. It really started off with focusing on something, right? Picking something that you were going to be good at. Back in 2005 or 2006, San Francisco, there was a part of San Francisco that looked like a barren wasteland of empty parking lots, gas stations, auto repair shops, etc. And the city decided that, hey, there's a big opportunity here to build housing here. They also decided that they also noticed a lot of tech companies are moving to the city. So they were really going to build 25,000 housing units in this one area of town. And every city has this sort of story where it was a section that's destined for urban renewal. And this was right before the time of, I guess they call it the Great Recession. But I was building my business up as an individual agent. And we started off as a sales group, Climb Real Estate, incubated within another company. Vanguard properties in the city. Now, fast forward to 2009, when the stock market crashed, the housing market crashed, we had the Great Recession. We decided to actually launch our brokerage in 2009. We figured the retail space was going to be a lot cheaper, a lot less expensive. We figured marketing costs were going to be less expensive. Advertising costs were going to be expensive. We could spend probably twice or three times, or get three times the bang for the buck if we spent $1 now as opposed to before or after. And we sort of knew that a lot of people were retreating. They were going to be cutting costs. They were going to be slowing expansion. They were going to be cutting advertising and marketing spend. They were going to be downsizing. So we sort of felt that, hey, this is not a bad time. This is actually an opportunity. This is an opportunity for us to really tighten our belts and make a play for an area of town that was just starting to get action in terms of real estate.
But Mark, real quick, just even going into that moment, right? Like we've been talking a lot about mindset. Mindset is everything, right? So you looked at that crash, and tell me, did it even cross your mind to retreat, or was your mindset in such a place where you saw that and all you saw was opportunity?
You know, I would love to say that we were not afraid, and I would love to say that we didn't have second thoughts, but obviously no, right? You're scared at this time. You don't know
Sure.
when your next paycheck's going to come. You don't know when the next sale is going to happen. Back then, it was all short sales, right? Short
Right.
sales were dominating the market, 8, 9, 10, 11 months to close a deal. But you have to roll with the punches. And so it's either you're going to figure out how to make it happen in this kind of market, or you really should exit the market, right? Because real estate is all about ups and downs, and it's cyclical. Now, of course, this is a big dip in the cycle, but you need to roll with it. You need to change your business. You need to figure out how it's going to work during this time. And so we shifted our business completely. We shifted it towards short sales and representing buyers, right? Because there were a lot of deals, quote unquote deals to be had, because prices had just crashed. So the who's buying at that time? Well, it's bargain hunters, right? Bargain hunters, investors. So there was a lot of business to be had with buyers, right? Now, not to say that we shunned listings, absolutely not, because listings brings you buyers, right? Now, so you just need to become proficient at selling homes during this time. So, short sales was a big proficiency. Off market type of sale tactics were used heavily. Understanding that something's not going to sell in 1 month, and adjusting your expectations so that and also having a lot of listings,
Right.
because
Right.
they sell less frequently, so you need more listings in order to recreate the same income. And so you just need to shift. It's I think Gary
Mark.
Keller says it best in his book, right? I think it's called Shift, and it's
Right.
about rolling with the times and the market. And here we go. This is another dip in the market, and it's just everyone knows it's going to come back, right? I
Mark,
don't.
real quick, just to interject here. Yesterday, 2 days ago, we had Eric Mitchell on from Gold Star, right? And one of the things that he said is, if you're out there as an agent and you're saying, "Hey, I give great service, and here's my cell phone number," right? Like, and you think you're standing out, you're not, because everybody's saying that. So, what I want you to do is tell the story about this waterfall of where you said, "Can we be the biggest brokerage in San Francisco?" And the idea is to hone down to something that you can be known for, to build a brand, to
Absolutely.
build a niche.
Absolutely. You need to learn or figure out what you're going to be number one at, right? So I said to my founder, I said, what are we going to be known for? And are we going to be are we going to be the best brokerage in San Francisco, or the biggest? No, we can't be, right? It's an established place with lots of top competitors. can we be the top brokerage in our area? And the area was a 5 by 5, square block area of town called Soma, south of Market, South Beach. Can we do that? Yes. Can we be known to be a millennial urban tech brand as well? Sure. So we focused and doubled down on that one thing, which was being the top brokerage in our area, which was called, Soma South Beach, a small area in San Francisco, but also being known for tech, being known for innovative branding, being known for something, right? Being known and different. You need to figure out where you're going to be top. So that's what we focused on like a laser. And, I said to my partner, I said, hey, if we take this area over and we become number one in this area, and, someone's going to be interested in perhaps acquiring us or wanting to partner with us. Or if they don't, this is going to be a very great brokerage in the long run. We eventually took the path of acquisition, but that was the secret. You need to be number one at something, and you just got to keep subdividing your
That's
target
right.
until you get to that point.
That's right.
Yeah,
And it's such
you
a
can't
hard
be.
thing to do though, Mark, right? Like isn't it so hard, right? Because an agent who's building up their business, maybe somebody who's newer in the business, for example, is chasing anything and everywhere because one of the challenges of this industry is you don't know where your next paycheck is coming from. So it's a real gut
Yeah,
check, isn't it, for you to double down
yeah,
and find a niche?
yeah. It's we've had at our height we had 200 plus agents, and we coached all our agents, and you see it time and time again. A lot of agents are chasing. They're basically chasing the commission, right? They're running
Right.
around, going where the buyers take them, going where, they get a call at some random listing that doesn't fit their area. You know, it's just a fool's errand, really. And why do I say that? It's because every sale, either buyer or listing, is built off of your previous sales. And it's built off of your previous expertise. It's built off of your market knowledge. You're not going to go sell a place in New York, are you? Even if you have a license out there, if you're focusing down in California or LA or Long Beach or San Francisco, wherever it's going to be, you need to really hone down and specialize, because you are up against, every area has a top dog, at least one. They have five in each area. And every time you're up for a listing, you're probably going to be facing competition from these agents. And the question is, how are you going to beat or win a listing from these agents unless you have some sort of way in? Either you have a personal relationship, which is not always the case, or you have a referral from someone, or how about this? You are specializing in this area. You are known as the agent for area XYZ, and it may not even be area. It could be first-time buyers in XYZ area, or it could be luxury real estate in XYZ area, or it could be condos, first-time buyer condos in this area. You have to keep on finding that thing that you're going to be known for, and you have to give up everything else in
Right.
order to do that. And personally, what I did was my personal sales, I focused on one building in San Francisco, and it was called the Infinity. It was a 650 unit complex in the city. I moved myself and my family into that building, and I said, I'm going to only do sales in this building. If there was a sale across the street, I wasn't going to do it. And that's exactly what happened. I focused all my time and attention on one building. I sold 40% of the units in this building.
Wow.
And everything outside of the building, I referred it. And literally across the street, there's a building called Rincon Hill, One Rincon. And it was back then the tallest building in the city, or third tallest building in the city. Literally, I would give it, I set up a partner there, and I said, look, every listing that I get in here or lead, I'm giving to you, and I'm referring it to you. And I struck a deal. I said, hey, any listing or referral you have in my building, you refer to me. So I took it to the extreme. But that is how I got good at it, right? I focused everything. I did everything. Rentals. I was renting parking spots. I was selling storage cages. I was providing all kinds of advice. I was showing up at every party. I was showing up at the board meetings. Everything. I made it all my mission to be maniacally focused on that one thing. And what happened? I became number one at that thing.
Right.
And you need to find what that is because time and resources are limited. So
It's tremendous advice, Mark. It's, one of the things about this industry that's always struck me, and I'm curious to hear you react to this, is yes, there are agents who discount their services, right? But if I want to sell my home, generally speaking, right, it costs me the same to use you, the top agent, or somebody else, right, the not top agent. And so that business naturally flows to the top agent. And so what's going to get me to give my business to somebody else?
oh, you're saying what is it going to take to let go of business to somebody
No,
else?
no. I guess I'm saying from a seller's perspective, right? I don't have a huge economic incentive to not use the best agent. Why wouldn't I just use the best agent, right?
Right.
And not everybody can be the best agent, the top agent. Not everybody can be Mark Choey, right?
Mm.
And so, how does somebody who isn't Mark Choey crack in? And I think this advice you're giving is how you do it, which is you have to find a specialty, you have to find a niche, and you have to own it, right?
Oh, yes. Yeah, absolutely. And, when I first started, I wasn't the best agent. So the question is, it's, not every seller is going to go look and just say, okay, who is the top agent in this building or area, right? There's probably like an answer. Every time you look, you'll probably get five different answers. So it's about how are you going to stand out and be different, really. It doesn't necessarily, so best doesn't mean just top seller. It could
Right.
be you develop the greatest rapport, maybe you have a lot of relationships in here. Maybe you're up against a top agent, but if you do everything the top agent does in terms of marketing, branding, your sales pitch is the same, you're saying the same things they are, when you're not gonna win because if they stack everything up and your marketing's the same, the services you do are the same, but they sell much more than you do, you're gonna lose that battle. So the question is, how are you gonna be different? How are you going to stand out, right? And in our case, we were saying, okay, we were just going to really focus on our brand and focus on sales, right? But it's I don't mean to say that it's only sales. It's maybe you got a great rating on the last property you sold there, or maybe you have the most testimonials or the reviews, or maybe you do a ton of farming, right? So that was another thing I used to do was if I wasn't number one, I would find a way to be number one in something. So I bought all of the ads on Trulia for one zip code. So it was working, back when Trulia was Trulia, but Zillow is now the game. So if you, or realtor.com, um, you buy 10% of a zip code. Great. Well, that works. And if it works in small doses, why not do it in large doses? So during these economic times, we doubled down on marketing. So at one point I had 10% of 94105, right? But then the
Wow.
marketing came, sorry, the Great Recession came and we said, you know what? We need more leads and we need to dominate. And because people are cutting back on the spend. So I went 100% in on 94105. So we bought 100% of a zip code. And I said, why am I only going to take 10% of this? I don't understand. Why don't I just take 100% of this? So it's really about thinking at your limits. Okay, my marketing budget's 5,000. Well, can you double your marketing budget? And I'll tell you, I've never felt like I wasted money on marketing, especially in real estate. You
Right.
need to cut other expenses, but marketing, you never cut. You can't
Well,
cut
Mark,
marketing.
yeah. So we're going to get into that topic in just a second. I want to just Renee Warren has said made a couple comments. She said, first, I appreciate the real talk about our economic reality. Understanding will guide our next steps. Forward to all. Welcome, Mark Choey. So say hi to Renee, Mark.
Hey, Renee.
That's absolutely true, Renee, and that's why we're doing this. But then she had a follow up question. She said, do you think a single agent could have success in this new real estate shift? How do you think about that? What's your advice to Renee?
Oh, well, absolutely. I think, you know, but when I first started, I realized there was a lot that I didn't know. And I started off as a single agent, but then I quickly found a mentor. So I think it depends on I don't know, Renee, how experienced of an agent you are, but if you're just getting started out, you need a mentor. You need some sort of training. You need someone to help you through every single difficult situation that you're going to encounter. Um, Now, if you're a mid producer, maybe not. I've seen a lot of mid producers figure it out, mid-level producers. And if you're a top producer, probably not either, because you're going to need a team to help you because you're going to be busy. So, you know, um, can you be a single realtor and do well? Of course, I've seen it happen many times. But can you be faster and better with the right team and support around you? I think you can.
Yeah, no, that's great advice, Mark. So, Mark, let's transition into. I asked you a question yesterday, right? I said if you were still running Climb and you've got 200 agents now, in a virtual meeting, what advice are you going to give them? And there were a couple of things that we touched on, and you just started one, which was marketing. Technology is one. So, why don't you give your best advice? You've got an audience right now of virtual agents who are sitting at home and they're watching this and they're listening to you. What do you tell them?
You know, when you're busy, what gets neglected, right? You think about that. There's so much that gets neglected. Your farming, your marketing, your buyer presentations, your listing presentations, your website. I don't know a single agent that loves their website. Everyone says, "Oh my God, I need to work on that. I need to fix that." Your systems, your CRM, if you're using one, uh, outreach to clients, to past clients. Right now is the perfect time. If you have a lot of clients that you haven't spoken to in the past, figure out how, figure out, get in touch with them, right? Explain to them what's going on in the world of real estate and coronavirus and how that's affecting their property, right? Because they bought something, they're worried about the value of their property, right? Get in touch with your old sphere. Get in touch with people. Figure out and put systems together. Do the things that I think Stephen Covey said it best. There's these different quadrants of stuff that you have to do. There's stuff that's important and not important, and there's stuff that's urgent and not urgent, right? As real estate agents, we're always working on the urgent thing, regardless if it's important or not important. And you know what I'm talking about, that phone call, that email, etc. But you need to focus on the stuff that's not urgent but super important, and that means systems, listing presentations, your business, right? This is a business you're building. Not You're not in like the you're not just selling homes. You're starting a business. You're trying to focus and build a brand and a business around yourself. What is that business going to be? And that's why we say don't spread out, right? You need to focus on an area and be known for something, be good at something. Otherwise you're just going to be a jack of all trades, master of none. So, right now we would say, and this is giving me deja vu back to the time when the Great Recession happened, was look, you need to
Sure.
focus on these things that are business related and setting up foundations and your marketing, your process, your website. How are you going to come out of this with a bang, right? And you need to build sales momentum, a business. You need leads. You need business. You need buyers ready to go. You need sellers ready to go. So, of course, you can't do anything right now when the market is essentially at a standstill.
Yeah.
But you can do things to get new business such that when it is ready, and we all know it's going to be over soon, right? It's not going to happen forever. So this is a temporary downturn. This is a temporary stoppage in the market. When it comes back on, how are you going to be ready and hit the ground running?
Hey, Mark,
So,
let me just, if you don't mind, let me just interject one quick thing, right?
of
Because,
course,
you know, a couple things that this unique time affords us, right? One is the opportunity to build new habits, but two, and AJ and I talked about this on the show on Monday. Is what is life after this going to be like, right? What are the changes that are going to persist? And if you look at the massive rise in video conferencing and the fact that now video conferencing minutes on Zoom, Google Meet, Microsoft Teams, etc., has exceeded cell phone minutes for the first time. is that
Oh,
it's also an interesting opportunity to be able to connect with your sphere in ways that you maybe you weren't able to before, right? So there's some friction in just like picking up the phone randomly or walking around the neighborhood, and I know that that's a big source of resistance for some agents. But there's a different level of acceptability, I think, for reaching out now, and there's new ways to connect. Even having you on the show, right? We're talking to our users. Like, there's new opportunities that come out of this time, and an opportunity to build new habits. That's how we see it.
yeah, absolutely. And there's a lot of new products, and I believe you guys have rolled something out that's really going to help agents do business remotely. So everything from how are you going to market a property remotely better, right? Matterport VR, and any number of VR types of technology to market a home is instrumental. Live streaming, video conferencing, digital listing presentations, or ways to interact with agents. I mean, sorry, your clients, buyers or sellers remotely. Get on those things. I think it's a new time. It's just very reminiscent to social media. When social media first came out, a lot of people were very worried about this because they're like, what? Oh my gosh, these clients are going to see my personal pictures. They're going to see that I went traveling here. They're going to see that I went there. Should I set up a separate personal page or a business page? And we just sort of just kind of embraced it all and rolled with it and said, look, the world is not private anymore. You just need to get used to it and own it, right?
That's a
And
really interesting point, Mark. There is even now an enhanced level of intimacy, right? We're all working at home, and you're talking to people in their bedrooms, in their living rooms, inside of their homes, right? So it felt like the last bastion of quote unquote privacy. But that level of intimacy, as social media did, also allows you to expand the number of connections that you have, allows you to build relationships in very different ways. So it's a really interesting point because I hadn't really thought about that evolution, right? And sort of where it started
absolutely.
there. It's second nature to us. I've forgotten about, that awkwardness, if you will. And we're going to forget
It's
about this awkwardness, right, soon.
we, exactly. And I think video conferencing is going to become the norm for doing business, working from home. If people aren't used to it before, they sure are now, and they're sure
Yes.
learning about it. And I'll tell you, people are going to be getting listing presentations through email and do conference calls. And the faster you get up to speed on how to take advantage of these types of technologies, how to do a digital open house, how to do a Facebook Live,
Yes.
how to do a virtual showing, how to do just how to be digital, right? How to be remote.
Yes.
If you're not comfortable with it, get comfortable with it because it's
Yes.
coming. It's here.
Yes.
It's here now,
It is here
right?
now.
And
It is here now.
it's here now. So it's a great opportunity. I think it's a great opportunity, and you have to get on it because the world has changed.
I think that's it. Let me make one more point, and then Mark, I want to know what you're up to. So I want you to share a little bit more about what you're up to. But before I do that, just one more point I want to make. I saw a post yesterday from Nick Baldwin, one of the guys who started Lab Code Agents, and I think he's been great in some of his kind of direct talk, right? And one of the things that he said, and I think this is really important, is don't underestimate the magnitude of the change that's going to come out of this. This is sort of my interpretation of it, right? And so there are certain sacred cows that we had. Like, for example, no one's ever going to buy a house that they haven't seen before. But I think the data would show otherwise, right? And in Nick's case, he bought a house sight unseen. And so, as Mark said, when you look at the quality of, let's say, a Matterport, or the ability to connect with people on video conferencing, or the technology that exists to explore an area, don't 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 fool yourself into believing that there isn't a world that will exist when, as an agent, you can actually sit at home and you can conduct your business. And what we talked about a few days ago was how great that's going to be, right? The accessibility and the availability of people might mean that you're going to have more time with your family, and you're not going to have to spend 3 hours driving and setting up an open house when you can sit in the comfort of your home and you can actually sell that property. And I think that's really exciting, Mark.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Nick and Lab Code Agents, and I think he's spot on. I think I've just sold a home remotely, and I use Open Door, oddly enough, in Phoenix. Um,
Interesting.
Yeah, and I think we've experimented at Climb with all sorts of virtual technologies on how to shorten the distance because so many people wanted to see things, but they were remote. They were down in Palo Alto, or they were in China back then when China was buying a lot of homes around here. So it was video. We were videoing things and sending them stuff, and they were buying things remotely. Now, I just think it's going to be more the norm as we go on, and you just need to adapt. We need to adapt. It's a great opportunity to figure out how to change your business style. And those that get it are gonna thrive, right? So I think it's a great time.
Absolutely. The beauty of live, there's a lawnmower right outside my window right now, so I'm going to be quick and I'm going to go on mute. But this is a great opportunity, Mark, for you to tell everybody what you're up to right now. So what are you doing now at HighNote?
Yeah, absolutely. I started a new company called HighNote Labs, and after we were purchased by Climb, our mission was not finished. Our mission is really to bring great tools and technology to empower the real estate industry. And we have a lot of lessons as real estate agents, as brokerage owners, and the first product we have is essentially a smart pitching product. We did an analysis of what our agents do and what we did as agents, and a lot of the time that you spend is building marketing decks, listing presentations, buyer presentations, and making pitches. And it's the most important thing, the single most important activity you do as an agent. It's making the sales pitch, because if you don't get it, the repercussions are huge. You either have an opportunity to earn this commission or you don't. So we really focused on this one use case and workflow, and built a very easy to use tool to help you build great marketing and get data on what is happening. So you're going to get data on the reader and what they're reading, what they're keying in on, what they're focusing on. We just came out of beta, and a lot of the early agents are saying they're winning more offers, they're winning more listings and more buyers than ever before. We had one agent who used this to win a $2 million listing off a Zillow lead, and the seller was remote. She could not meet the seller. And so what she did was sent this HighNote presentation to her. It was a great door opener. She stood out from the other agents that she was being interviewed against, and she won the deal. $2 million listing on our first try. So that's what we're building. And it's very exciting. And that's the
That's
first
incredible.
tool among a whole host of tools. It's going to be a platform for the real estate agent and professional. And
That's awesome.
yeah, very excited.
Well, great. Hey, Mark, thanks so much. We went long today, but I think it was a good discussion, and I think this is tremendous advice for our agent community. And I know this is something that we both care deeply about. So why don't you say goodbye to everybody? Mark, thanks for joining. We'll see you soon,
Thank you.
hopefully again as a guest. All
Awesome.
right.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mark.
I enjoyed it. Okay. Bye, Reddy.
Fantastic, right? I mean, you keep hearing this message over and over again, right? Great companies that were built during really difficult times, individuals who rise up, the importance of mindset, right? This thinking where you're like, I'm going to come out of this better than I entered it. And in Mark's case, what unbelievable discipline and focus, right? One building. Now he was operating in a very urban, densely populated area. That's not realistic everywhere, but the concept is realistic, and it's great advice wherever you are, which is you have to be known for something, and you have to have the discipline to say no or to find partners to do other things so that you can be known for something. And that is the way to stand out. So super grateful to have Mark on. He's a tremendous guy, excited about what he's doing at HighNote Labs. Quick plug for tomorrow. So tomorrow we've got Mallory Mask. She is our VP of People. We have learned a lot, as I'm sure you have, about work from home and what works and what doesn't work. We've got almost 100 employees scattered around working from their homes, and we've seen productivity increase as a result of it. So she's going to be on tomorrow. We're going to talk about some of her tips and some of the things that we've learned, and hopefully that's going to be helpful to you. So with that, we're going to end the show. Last plug is YouTube channel, so don't forget to check out YouTube. If you want to watch this again, if you want to watch clips, this is super active. We're going to be publishing more and more content to this, so check it out, and we'll see you tomorrow.